Welcome to the Chapter 15 lecture on monopoly. A monopoly is a firm that is the sole seller of a product without close substitutes. In this chapter, we are going to study monopoly and contrast it with perfect competition. The key difference is that a monopoly firm has market power, which is the ability to influence market price of the product it sells. A competitive firm has no market power. Remember, buyers and sellers in competitive markets are price takers. The main cause of monopolies is barriers to entry, meaning other firms cannot enter the market. There are three sources of barriers to entry. 1. A single firm owns a key resource. For example, De Beers owns most of the world's diamond mines and therefore has a monopoly on the diamond market. 2. The government gives a single firm the exclusive right to produce the good, which occurs due to patents and copyright laws. 3. Natural monopoly, which is when a single firm can produce the entire market quantity at a lower cost than several firms could. This is common with public utilities. For example, 1,000 homes need electricity. Average total cost is lower if one firm services all 1,000 homes than if two firms each service 500 homes. The average total cost curve slopes downward due to huge fixed costs and small marginal costs. Let's compare the monopoly demand curve and the competitive demand curve. In a competitive market, the market demand curve slopes downward, but the demand curve for the individual firm's product is horizontal at market price. The firm can increase quantity without lowering price. Remember, marginal revenue equals price for a competitive firm. The monopolist is the only seller, so it faces the market demand curve. In order to sell more quantity, the firm must reduce price. Marginal revenue does not equal price. Let's take a moment to understand why marginal revenue does not equal price for a monopolist. Increasing quantity has two effects on total revenue. The output effect, higher output raises revenue, and the price effect, lower price reduces revenue. To sell larger quantities, the monopolist must reduce the price on all units it sells. Therefore, marginal revenue is less than price. Marginal revenue could even be negative if the price effect exceeds the output effect. Like a competitive firm, a monopolist maximizes profit by producing a quantity where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Once the monopolist identifies this quantity, it sets the highest price customers are willing to pay for that quantity. It finds the price from the demand curve. Let's look at this on the diagram. First, the monopolist finds the profit-maximizing quantity where marginal revenue equals marginal cost. Then the firm finds the price on the demand curve associated with that quantity. As with the competitive firm, the monopolist's profit equals the difference between price and average total cost multiplied by the quantity the firm is selling. The monopoly firm does not have a supply curve. A competitive firm takes price as given and has a supply curve that shows how its quantity depends on the price. A monopolist is a price maker and not a price taker. The quantity produced does not depend on the price in the market. Rather, quantity and price are jointly determined by marginal cost, marginal revenue, and the demand curve. Therefore, there is no supply curve for the monopoly firm. Let's look at the welfare costs of monopoly. Let's look at the welfare costs of a monopoly. Recall that in a competitive market equilibrium, price equals marginal cost and total surplus is maximized. In monopoly equilibrium, price is greater than marginal revenue and marginal cost. The value to buyers of an additional unit, P, exceeds the price of the resources needed to produce that unit, MC. The monopoly quantity is too low and it is possible to increase total surplus with a larger quantity being produced. Therefore, monopoly results in a dead weight loss. Let's look at this on a diagram. With the competitive equilibrium, the quantity QC occurs where price equals marginal cost and total surplus is maximized. With monopoly equilibrium, the quantity QM occurs where price is less than marginal cost and creates a dead weight loss. Price discrimination is a common practice for monopolies. Price discrimination is selling the same good at different prices to different buyers. The characteristic used in price discrimination is willingness to pay, or WTP. A firm can increase profit by charging a higher price to buyers with a higher willingness to pay. Let's compare perfect price discrimination and a single price monopolist. Here, a monopolist charges the same price, PM, to all buyers and a dead weight loss results. Here, the monopolist produces a competitive quantity, but charges each customer his or her willingness to pay. This is called perfect price discrimination. The monopolist captures all consumer surplus as profit, but there is no deadweight loss. In the real world, perfect price discrimination is not possible. No firm knows every buyer's willingness to pay, and buyers do not give this information to sellers. Firms can divide customers into groups based on some observable trait that is likely related to willingness to pay, such as age. Let's go over a few examples of price discrimination. Movie tickets. Discounts are offered to seniors, students, and people who attend the movies during weekday afternoons. They are more likely to have a lower willingness to pay than people who pay full price on Friday nights. Airline prices. Discounts are often given to travelers who have Saturday night stayovers, which helps distinguish business travelers who usually have a higher willingness to pay from more price-sensitive leisure travelers. Discount coupons. People who have the time to clip and organize coupons are more likely to have a lower income and lower willingness to pay than others. Quantity discounts. A buyer's willingness to pay often declines with additional units, so firms charge less per unit for large quantities than small ones. For example, a movie theater charges $4 for a small popcorn and $5 for one that is twice as big. Public policy towards monopolies. The government can increase competition with antitrust laws. The government can ban some anti-competitive practices by breaking up monopolies. The Sherman Act of 1890 and the Clayton Act of 1914 established the government's ability to do this. The government can also regulate monopolies by setting the price monopolists charge for their product. For natural monopolies, marginal cost is less than average total cost at all quantities, so marginal cost pricing would result in losses. Regulators might subsidize the monopoly for a set price equal to average total cost, so firms earn zero economic profit. The government might encourage public ownership, as they do with the United States Postal Service. The problem with public ownership is usually less efficient since there is no profit motive to minimize costs. Lastly, the government can do nothing. The foregoing policies all have drawbacks, so the best policy may be no policy. This is the end of the Chapter 15 lecture.